Leo Sandy.
Hi, Coach. Leo Sandy from Costa Rica, Channel 8. Nice to meet you. Greetings from Costa Rica. Coach, what do you know about Costa Rica? The Douglas Queira team. What is your opinion, your thoughts about this team that have a few players from the MLS, Randall Leal, Luis Diaz, Marvin Loria, that you already know that, but what else do you know about this team from Costa Rica? Thank you so much.
Yeah, super good question. In this type of tournament with these types of teams, I think it's a big challenge for all of us to scout the opponent, especially when you add into the fact that COVID had such a massive effect on everybody's schedule last year. So there's been very, very few matches from Costa Rica's under-23 team that we've been able to attain. From the ones that we think we have a clear plan for what we expect to see from them. And then obviously the players that play in MLS, we know very well. And we expect those players to be important contributors for Costa Rica and players that we'll need to be aware of at all times. In general, we know that Costa Rica is a very talented group. We see it with their full team, and we expect no different with their U23 team. So it's an opponent that we are taking very seriously, and we understand it's going to be a big challenge for us.
Jonathan TIMEWALL, you have the floor.
Thanks. That was quick. Jason, what's it? You know, I jumped on a little late because oddly Craig was talking at the same time as you were. What's it been like down there, and what's the mood like, and what's the sort of, you know, wanting to really come out of the gate with a statement when knowing what the stakes are in the group? You know? Yeah,
I mean, the mood has been fantastic down here. The setup that we have here with our hotel, with the food, with the COVID testing that we've been able to do here to make us feel safe and secure and to provide a proper environment for our players to perform, all of that has been second to none. And my hat is off to U.S. Soccer for providing all the resources for us to make this happen. I think the preparation training that the guys have had, the ability that we've had to be here in this heat and altitude has been critically important for us to adjust and acclimate and prepare ourselves for this tournament. We go into this first match knowing that it's extremely important, and we want, and we're going after the points that we feel we're going to need in this first game to put ourselves in the best position for the rest of the round robin.
Hello, Coach. Good morning. Keishmer Gomez from ESPN here in Costa Rica. Most of the soccer players that make up the United team have much more international experience than Costa Ricans. Do you feel that this is one of the most important advantage compared to Costa Rica? And the other one, which individual players do you know from Costa Rica? And who do you think needs to be more careful with? Thank you.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a very good time for men's national teams programs in the U.S. and in particular with young players. And the reason why I say that is that over the past 12 to 18 months, there have been a lot of young players in our country that have gotten experience with the full team. Big credit to Greg Berhalter for giving those players opportunities. Big credit to those players for earning those opportunities. Big credit to the developmental people that have been involved in U.S. Soccer that are developing these players to put them in a place where they are ready for these opportunities. So yeah, we like the experience of our group, and we think that that should be something that we can lean on as an advantage. We have disadvantages as well. Costa Rica is in the middle of their season, as is Mexico, and our guys are just now starting preseason. So we will have some match fitness issues that we'll have to contend with. And we'll see if we can make up for some of that disadvantage through experience, through tactical preparation, and through, you know, really, really good team bonding and team chemistry. As far as individual players from Costa Rica, you know, as we said before, the three players that are playing in MLS are the ones that we're the most familiar with. We also know that they have a very strong central midfielder, a holding midfielder who's been playing the majority of their U23 games. So we expect him to be a big contributor. And in general, I think it's most important to talk about what the team's strengths are for Costa Rica. And we feel that they have some very, very good attacking players and are very good in transition. And we're going to need to be prepared for those.
Michelle, genuinely, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hi, Coach. How are you?
Good.
Obviously, it's just a 20-man roster with 3 goalkeepers, so that leads 17 field players. How are you preparing? Can we expect rotations? Can we expect a different team after the Costa Rica game? How are you managing that? Thank you.
Yeah, I would tell you not to expect things. I think we all make mistakes when we expect things. But yes, with 17 players here only, we do think that there will be some necessary rotation, as well as the fact that, as I talked about before, our guys are in preseason fitness and preseason game form. And so I do believe that we're going to need to use all of our players here. We have told them all that they're going to be massive contributors. Doesn't matter whether they start in the first game or not. We look for contributions from all of our players. And I also believe that due to the fact that we have 5 available substitutions down here, I believe that all of these players are going to help us in our efforts to get to where we want to go.
Juan Rodriguez, you have the floor.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Craig. Juan Rodriguez from Seminario Universidad in Costa Rica. First of all, what are your expectancies and how are you planning to face the match against Costa Rica tomorrow?
I think that question was already asked. So can we move on?
Charles Boham, you have the floor.
Hey, Jason. One thing that's hard for us as we prepare for this tournament from the outside is the lack of matches. Your group hasn't had competitive matches because of the pandemic. How much of a challenge has that been for you? And have you done anything in training to sort of try and create that environment? Because I'm sure it injects some level of uncertainty into what you do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's I think a really interesting situation that a lot of coaches don't probably face, where you kind of go into this first game and saying to yourselves, okay, I'm not real sure about the opponent. I haven't been able to scout them to the level of detail that you would scout any typical opponent. And you also are saying to yourself, I'm not real sure about our group. So we go into this with a little bit open eyes and ready to work extremely hard as we move forward and after the first game. Because now we'll have actual game footage for ourselves to look at our group, as well as game footage of the 2 next opponents to look at and really digest a lot more in a lot more detail. The third part of that, third part of my thinking in answering your question is to say that we haven't even been able to play a different opponent down here as we typically would to prepare as we're down here because of COVID concerns. We've only been able to play ourselves. So I think that's the answer to the last part of your question, is that we've had a lot of match situation in 11 aside against ourselves. And again, my hat's off to US Soccer for giving us the resources to bring 26 players at the beginning of this camp in order for us to do that.
Laseri, you have the floor.
Hi, Coach. Hector Laseri from Marquetero here in Mexico, in the US. Quick question. The US hasn't been in the Olympics since 2008, and now you have this great generation of players playing in the US and playing in Europe. But some of them are not here, obviously, because of the way to make up the team. Do you feel any extra pressure to get there to finish this drought?
Hector, sorry, you cutting off. Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me, Coach? It's better?
Yeah, I think I got the question. You're asking about extra pressure, right?
Extra pressure to finish the drought, and because you have a real great team that could even medal in Tokyo.
Yeah. So my answer to that is simple. I look at things maybe a little differently than most people. I look at things from a perspective of, can we play to our potential? And because of what I believe our potential is, then yes, I feel that this group should be capable of qualifying to the Olympics. And that is our clear objective. And that is what we're going to move forward for. But I don't feel any extra pressure about what's happened in the past, because frankly, I think we're at a different place in our country in the game. And I wasn't involved in any of those past qualification efforts.
Okay, we'll take 3 more questions for the coach. We'll start with Ronald Bloom.
Hi, Jason. When you look at the challenge of taking this group, it's an older group compared to when players break through these days at age 16 to 18. Is it any different from coaching this group at this age than it would be, let's say, the Pulisic, McKinney, Adams group?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like it's somewhat, a lot of these players are 20 to 23 range. If you had a group of players that broke through at age 16 to 18, is the coaching challenge any different with that group than this type of age group?
I'm still not really comprehending your question.
Oh, the players now, they're somewhat, for soccer these days, late bloomers in terms of becoming club regulars. From you as a coaching standpoint, is the challenge with this group any different than players who break through at ages 16, 17, 18?
Oh, yeah, I guess I think I'm gonna answer this in a way you're not gonna like. I don't know.
Okay.
I have a very limited experience working with young players in particular, right? I mean, I have 11 years coaching experience coaching MLS teams. And so this is really my first experience to coach players of this age only. Lots of experience with developing young players for sure. But this is my first experience to work with young players only. I do feel that, I'm not dealing with a group of players that doesn't have professional playing experience. I would say my first camp with the U23, which was in Spain, I was working with a whole group of players that really wasn't getting first team experience. At that moment, we had Josh Sargent, who wasn't getting a minute with Werder Bremen and was going through a really tough mental time. So I have some experience in that to say that's difficult. I think now when you're, as the team stands right now and looking at the roster right now, I think we've got a lot of players here that know what it means to play in high pressure situations in front of fans in MLS and some of the most pressure packed games, playoff games. And so I feel like we're in a really good spot as far as that's concerned.
Okay, Paul Tenorio next, and we'll close with Brian Ciareta.
Hi, Jason. Sorry if I repeat a question. I was stuck on Greg's availability that went a little long. You're taking this team. One of the challenges is that they hadn't started a season. They're not in form in the middle of the season. I wonder first of all, how pleased you are or where you think their fitness level is, but does this compare at all? It feels like the easiest comparison is Champions League. I know you had a successful run in 2011. You played Columbus first, but then Saprissa, right at the start of an MLS season. Are there tactical things that you're thinking through of, you might not be as aggressive or able to be as aggressive simply because of form and fitness?
Yeah, Paul, good question. And it was something I touched on earlier. About, if I look at the group and think about concerns, I think that's the first one that jumps to my mind is that we don't have what I would say is a requisite level of match fitness because of the fact that these guys, were starting preseason a week after we got here. And so, I do think that we addressed some of that by having a large number of these players in the January camp. I addressed a little bit more by telling those players, look, for what you do for the next month to month and a half between mid-January and 1st of March is going to be critical to putting us in a place where we can hit the ground running when we reach Guadalajara. The players did a tremendous job of that. I think when we got here, I was quite surprised at the level of the fitness that the players had from the get-go. And we've worked extremely hard in our training sessions. And so, again, there's reasons that we were here for 17 days before our first game. And that was to give ourselves the absolute best chance to reach the level of fitness that we're going to need. But yeah, I mean, as I look forward in this tournament and think about the fact that we've got 3 games in short order, but we've got the ability to make 5 substitutions in each of those games, I think that we're going to address some of those concerns that way.
We'll close with Brian Ciareta. Go ahead.
Jason, thank you for doing this. And again, I was on Greg's call too, so I might have missed the first opening statements.
So Greg's just stepping all over my call here,
yeah.
huh?
I'm writing about Johnny Cardozo, and obviously he's kind of an exciting introduction to your team. And he's played for Internacional in their second place finish and made his national team debut. Discuss what you've seen him grow throughout this cycle and where he is now and how you plan on using him. He also said to me he's thinking about playing attacking too, not just purely a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, a really, really interesting player. Then, in fact, I didn't really know almost anything about him before fall of 2019. And we were talking on a national team scouting call, and they brought up this player and we talked quickly and said, let's look to bring him into the next U23 camp. So we were able to bring him into a camp that we had down in Miami. It was the first time I had really seen him play and worked with him. And at first, you could tell he was a little timid to get into the group, and he was having a little bit of troubles with the language. But by the end of the camp and in his performance against El Salvador, he came on and showed some really, really great stuff. And what I saw was a player that we were looking mainly in the sixth position, but was a guy that could do some really creative things in the attacking third of the field. And then after talking with the player, you learned quickly that he was actually developed as a striker. And had played the season before as a striker in their U23 team. And so it is a player that I think has some ability to make plays happen in the final third. And that is the position that we're going to be looking at him mainly in this tournament.
Okay, Coach, thank you so much. With this, we conclude the first part of this press conference, and we'll continue with player Jackson Jewell. Thank you. Jackson, good morning. Welcome. Hi, good morning. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. We'll start with the question of Jonathan TIMEWALL. Hello, Jonathan, you have the floor. Okay, we'll continue with Michelle Giannani.
Hi, Jackson. How are you? This is Michele from Univision.
Good, thank you.
Jackson, of course, you are, compared to the senior team, the one that has probably the most experience in the group. There's a lot of pressure for the team to qualify after not being since Beijing 2008 in the Olympic Games. How are you guys dealing with the pressure? How are you as a leader in the team dealing with that and talking with your fellow players? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think the team is very strong this year, and I think through U.S. soccer in the past couple of years, there's been some failures, but I think that's what led to such a great group and such a great group coming up with the first team and the youth team. So we're excited for this challenge, and I think the message between the team has just been focused on the moment. We're not too worried about the past. We're not too worried about the future. We're focused on the next game, and we're focused on Costa Rica right now. And I think the unity between the whole team and the drive and the hunger to succeed in this tournament is what I think will do us really well in this tournament. And we're excited to start it off.
Sandy, you have the floor.
Hi, how are you, Jason? This is Leo Sandy from Channel A from Costa Rica. Greetings. Well, you have competition already in MLS, but in Costa Rica we have already. We are in the middle of the tournament right now. If this could be an advantage for Costa Rica players that you don't have already because the MLS is in the beginning of the preseason.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be nice to be fully into a season and have guys have games under their belts and mid-season form. But I think, you know, a lot of the guys were a part of our January camp and got to play in the game there. And I think, you know, they kept the momentum going. And I think from day one, guys came in fit. So it's definitely something that could have helped us a little bit more, you know, being a little bit more game sharp and game fit. But I think the group did really well of maintaining a hunger during the break and working on themselves and improving themselves. And I think the team looks good and you know, ready to go and sharp.
Keshmer Gomez, you have the floor.
Hi, Jackson. A pleasure. Keshmer Gomez from ESPN here in Costa Rica. What do you know individually from Costa Rica? Have you worked individually on the study of Costa Rican soccer players, or is it a more general analysis? Thank you.
Yeah, we know some of the players from back home. You know, they're good players in MLS and they're good players abroad as well. So we've definitely looked at the team individually. You know, they have a lot of pace and aggression in defense, and they like to get after teams going forward. And we've also looked at the whole team in general. You know, like how they like to play and you know, sort of their strengths. And we know that they're going to be a very strong team. And I think, you know, we've trained really well and we're ready for the challenges of this tournament and of that game.
Donald Wine, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hey, Jackson. I wanted to ask you quickly. I know last week they opened up the capacity of the stadium to 25% for attendance. And, you know, I asked Sebastian this a couple of days ago, but I want to ask you, how does that energy feel different? And especially given that a lot of you guys probably haven't played in front of a lot of fans over the last year, how does that help you, or how does that impact your focus on the game? What do you guys need to do to kind of bring that energy in a positive way?
Yeah, I think one of the qualities of this team is, like I said, the hunger of it. So I think with fans, without fans, I think we'd bring the same energy. I think, of course, during the game with the fans, there's a different aspect of the noise and the concentration. You know, I saw it in January and in a few games of last year of teams having fans, and it is a different feel. You know, the loudness of the stadium, even when it's only 25% capacity. So I think the guys are excited to have people in the stands. You know, some of the guys have family members coming, and I think that gives a little extra motivation of proving ourselves and, you know, playing the way we want to play. And so I think guys are ready for those games, and we're excited to kind of play in these games with fans in the stadium.
And also Contreras, you have the floor.
Thank you. With the pressure that's going on right now, you know, to qualify, and you have players under 23 like Weston McKennie, Pulisic, Reynolds, Gio Reyna, you would have see them in the team too, fighting to qualify, or you're pretty confident with this group of people? Players. You guys gonna accomplish the main objective?
Yeah, of course. I mean, those are all fantastic players, and, you know, you'd always love to have them in your team. But I think what's so good about U.S. soccer right now is the depth of the youth. And I think you're seeing that a lot in the younger age groups and in this age group. I think a lot of the guys here have played with the senior team and have gotten minutes with their club teams over the past year and a half and gotten games with the senior team. So I think it's a very strong group. Of course, those guys are fantastic players and we'd love to have all of them. But we're very confident in the team that we have right now, and we're ready to get this tournament underway.
Okay, we'll take 3 more questions. I've gathered Seb, go ahead, and then we'll continue with Juan Rodriguez.
Jackson, as far as the defense goes for you guys, you have a lot of veteran experience in there between yourself, Justin, Sam, and Aaron. How important is that going to be, and how important is that for a tournament like this? Because we've seen in past Olympic qualifying tournaments, the lack of defensive experience kind of get exposed a bit. How important is that? And a follow up, none of us have seen this group really play together. You're in camp with the group. What do you like the most about this team, and what do you think U.S. fans are going to what are they going to like the most about this team once they actually see it?
Yeah, I think you can tell by the team unity. I think, the guys have been around each other, played with the same club team, a few senior teams. I don't think we've been together as much as we'd like to in the past year because of COVID. But I think, from the coaching staff to being able to implement and get everyone on the same page, I think that's probably been one of the best things about this camp and about the January camp is, we were able to transition from everyone in different teams to being on the same page. And the defensive aspect, I think the leadership of all those guys has been monumental in our successes over the years. And I think, they all have great qualities and they're going to bring a key factor to us in doing well in this tournament. I think, the unity and the dynamic between all those guys have improved. I think they've been able to play with each other a little bit more this camp and in the January camp. And I think we'll be very strong defensively because of those aspects.
Juan Rodriguez, you have the floor, and we finish with Hector Laceri. Juan, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll close with Hector Laceri.
Hi, Jackson. Hector Laceri from Market Claro. A couple of questions. Well, you have Matias Almeida as your manager in San Jose. Have you talked to him about playing in Guadalajara and maybe some tips about the Mexican style of play you'll face? And also, you are pretty much in the group of death in this beginning of the tournament. Do you think that's an advantage since you maybe have a little bit more of a margin of error rather than facing a do or die game in the semifinals against Mexico or Costa Rica?
I think Matias has been a great, help for me over the past couple of years. I haven't spoken to him about certain players, but he was a big fan of Guadalajara, and I know he's a great figure here at Chivas, and I know he's won amazing things. So he said great things about a lot of the aspects here, and I appreciate him for all the work that he's done for me over the past couple of years, and I think the group, we're focused on ourselves and we're focused on the first game. I think, to qualify, you have to win. And, being in the group of death or the easy group, I don't think it matters. I think you have to focus on each game as it comes, and that's what we're here to do. So I think we're excited for the challenges of this tournament, and we're ready to give it our all and do our best against every team that's here.
Jackson, thank you so much. We conclude this press conference. To members, thank you for your participation. This video will be available at the CONCACAF Media Center. Bye.